Hello, welcome to Coaching with Leticia. I am your host, Leticia, and I'm thrilled to have you join me on this journey today. So my motto is innovate your business, elevate your life. So whenever you listen to my podcast or either one of those things will apply and be the focal point. So today's focal point is elevating your life, speaking specifically on dating and decoding relationships part 2, because we've done a part 1. Now, what makes my podcast unique is linking relevant theories to the topic in question. So, for example, today we're going to be looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs and the attachment theory in relationships. But before we delve into this topic, I would like to welcome my new and current listeners. Please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to my podcast so you never miss an episode. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to my very special guest today. He is back again.
Okay, come on. You know what it is.
Afaron, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think everybody really loved and appreciated your contribution in the previous episode of part 1. I got a lot of messages, a lot of, do you know what, Tish, when is part 2? Because we kept saying in the recording. So, we had to do a part 2. Right. So just a quick little recap. Those of you that didn't listen to part 1, we spoke about the Gottman theory. I don't know if you remember the 4 horsemen. We spoke about criticism, contempt, defensiveness, stonewalling, as well as the 7 dating tips. Do you remember what they were?
No idea. You know how much stuff has happened since the last episode? You have to remind me. No
pressure. So the 7 dating tips was every 7 days you go on a date, every 7 weeks you go away for a night, and every 7 months the 2 of you head off to a romantic holiday.
Cool.
Yeah?
Yes, I remember.
Brilliant. So let's get straight into these questions. Do you know what, before we do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Do you know?
Yeah, go on.
Hi guys, my name.
Businessman, talent agency.
No, you're doing too much now.
Podcaster, author.
I'm just a random, normal, humble human being. That's all I am. But yes, my name is Afaron. I am a talent agent, podcaster, author, and musician.
Excellent. Lovely to meet you. Yeah. Wonderful. So, what are the most common misconceptions about modern dating? What do you feel that they are?
That's a big question.
I know it is.
Starting off the
rip. I'm going heavy. Let's just do it. It's part 2.
Okay. Misconceptions. I think preferences, this one I say all the time. Probably I should say more in public, but I say it in my inner circle. There's a kind of communication between preferences and expectations. And everyone's preferences are going to be different, obviously.
Yeah.
But when people turn their preferences into expectations, it can become a little bit problematic.
Okay.
And that could be from anything from aesthetics to values and morals. It's become very much self-centered, which is fine because you should at least have your own morals and values and things. But it's like sometimes in this modern world, it's like it's either my way, or if we're not aligned in a way where I feel I'm happy, then we can't move forward. And I'm like, from a healthy standpoint, that's fine, but from a control standpoint, or you're trying to get your own way for it to be specific for you, it's just too much option, which allows too much kind of like what's the word I want to use, it's just too much choice. That's what I would say. Okay. So it kind of it gives the person too much, like, allows them to be picky.
Okay, we may come back to that one.
It's a broad question, but
we'll come back to that one. Okay. So how important is communication in maintaining a healthy relationship?
Oh, it's huge. It's like,
I think we spoke about it before with toxic communication and things like that.
I think the cliche way of everyone's like, oh, you're going to communicate. That's fine. Yeah, we know. But communication in different areas. So communicating in conflict is a big one. Communicating when it comes to having an understanding on especially when you've been raised in different environments, like we've spoken about the love versus survival thing.
Yes.
So that is a whole understanding each other. And then whether you agree or disagree, I think it's more about understanding perspectives. So those are some of the things that I would say when it comes to communication on a deeper level, that it's more than just making sure that, we just have an understanding alone on just the basic of, you said you like this versus what you're what your likes and your dislikes is what I'm trying.
Definitely. And I think just going back to our previous episode when we spoke about the 4 horsemen and toxic communication and criticism and just positive reinforcements, and the better way to speak to each other respectfully, you know, tone, all of those things are considered, you know, important when you are communicating to your person. I like to say the word person. Right. So how can couples navigate differences in values and beliefs, or all beliefs? These are juicy. Look at your face.
Because I'm thinking to myself, because I'm a single person, I'm thinking to
Tish.
myself, if I was in a relationship, how would I deal with this situation?
Yeah.
Repeat the second part of the question.
Yeah. So, so even though you're a single person, as am I, but you still think to yourself, what would you be like in a relationship?
Yeah, all the time.
So how can couples, if you were in a relationship, navigate differences in values or beliefs? So, for example, do you have any values or beliefs?
Plenty.
Right. So then...
Okay, so for me, you're making me give away like the
list.
The list.
You know what I'm doing.
For me personally, some of the values is like some of them are non-negotiables for me. So if you're not a Christian or a believer and you don't have a relationship with God, it's all immediately for me. It's already a write-off. Like it's just not happening. Yeah, because our values are not going to align. Like from there, everything else from there is kind of just like, okay, what would you want as values within a relationship between yourself, myself, and then as a union, if that makes sense. Before marriage, obviously. But I would say I would say union because that's too far down the line. Within the relationship. So it's kind of like a 3 or a try kind of like trifactor with all 3 values kind of working together so we can just build a wholesome relationship.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the kind of overview of it without getting into too much detail, but yeah.
So you say that you're a believer. What if the person that you're dating or with is a believer, but they also like to dabble with crystals or tarot reading or even star signs? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's not gonna work for me.
Is that a non-negotiable?
Yeah, so that's not gonna work for me. Mainly because
or sage.
Them things ain't really gonna work. Mainly because I get it. Not everything may come across as a sin or may come up as a Bible, you should this or you shouldn't do that. But you have to use discernment on a lot of these things. And if you're letting the Holy Spirit kind of run your life or kind of like lead you in everything, you'll know that certain things like that could be seen as spiritual, demonic. Yes. It's best just not to touch it, just in case. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I agree with you. Like, even in terms of what you said of values and belief, and I'm a believer as well, there are some things I can't negotiate on because if somebody, and I'm not saying that people that do it is doing the wrong, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying for me, if I'm sleeping at night and then my partner, my husband starts to burn sage whilst I'm sleeping and start to murmuring,
what happened to basic
start murmuring and dabbling, and he's got a shrine. That's not for me. But I know people do it, which is fine for them. But they also have to respect that's not for me. So
if we're unequally yoked on that,
that's what it is. It's the unequally yoked.
I can't deal with it.
Yeah. Do you know what that actually means? Unequally yoked. Have you looked into it?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
It's about the two. It's oxen, is it?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And they kind of work together in the fields to kind of trough the ground. And if one person was off balance, it wouldn't move.
What you do?
Come on, I'm educated, bro. Man's educated. You get me? Yeah. I know about them things.
Because the yoke is the bond that
holds them together.
That holds them together. Yeah. All right. Okay. I see you.
Yeah.
Right. So, what role does vulnerability play in building a strong relationship? I want to speak on this first.
Okay, go on.
I think as a female, I feel as a female that we don't always allow men to be vulnerable in relationships. But me as a woman, I want my partner to feel vulnerable with me. I want him to know that I've got him, like his heart. He can be vulnerable with me. If he's had a rubbish day or if he's not feeling the man, just what I'm saying, I need to know those things because I need to speak to the king inside of him. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think it's important. What do you think?
I agree with you. Absolutely right. I'll take it probably slightly deeper and be like, before vulnerability comes humility. So for anyone, man or woman. So I think it gets to a point where when you're humble, you're able to, or the person you're talking to is able to receive your vulnerability more openly because pride is not the covering factor So you're able to sympathize, empathize with the person, and then be like, you know what? Whatever you need, I can now support you because you're being vulnerable, because you're being humble about it as well. Whereas if you're full with pride and you're going on like, yo, I'm macho and I can't do anything, I can do it all by myself. When it comes to showing, first of all, you're going to find it very difficult to even be vulnerable. And then when you are, there's going to be so many defense mechanisms. It's going to be hard for your partner to be like, okay, so what exactly is going on here? Are you being vulnerable? Are you trying to cover it up? Or are you being vulnerable 1 minute and then trying to, it's just too much. So I think before you can be vulnerable, there has to be some humility to it to be like, you know what? I'm not the strongest person on the planet all the time. Sometimes I do have my moments, and I want to be able to, which will lead us to my second point, which is making sure you're vulnerable with the right person. If you're vulnerable with the right person, it makes it easier. If you're vulnerable with someone that is not the right person for you, they will probably throw it back in your face or use it against you or whatever the case is.
I agree. And I think it's also important that each other, female and male, or whatever's in the relationship, should create that safe space to
100%.
be vulnerable. Do you know what I mean? Like when I was in a relationship, we used to do regular check-ins. Just to check in. We used to have something called emotional meetings. And we used to come together, you know, schedule a date. And, you know, I love a bit of calendar. Schedule a date in the calendar.
Right.
And then we would commit to that time, just being open and sharing and being vulnerable, sharing our insecurities, sharing our hopes, dreams, whatever it is. It was literally just a time to speak about our emotions.
Right.
Just what I'm saying. And then just move.
That's fine.
From
I
there.
have one problem with that, though. Are you ready, Tish?
No.
My only problem is that I don't think personally in a relationship the woman should be leading that. You wanted to go there, I'm there now. I personally believe the man should be taking the lead on those things.
Okay.
The woman can initiate all she wants, no problem, absolutely fine, love it, yeah, because you're nurturers, that's what you do, cool. But if the man is not setting a tone for vulnerability, for spaces, for them things there, no matter what you do, right, because it's about leadership at the end of the day. No matter what you do as the helpmeet,
Friday, you know.
yeah, I'm going in.
Yeah.
So I'm going in. No matter what you do as the helpmeet, I am not leading the situation of a safe space. I remember I did that same thing. In my last relationship. B because God told me to. And I knew I had to do it. And once I'd done it, then I could see the differences in how we approach it because I was leading it. And the same way, set up a calendar, or we'll pick a day that's comfortable for both of us. It doesn't have to be the same day every week, but we'll have to do it at least once a week.
That's a lot.
At least once a week.
I was only a few months in space.
No, at least once a week. Like
that's a lot.
It can move. That's what I'm saying. If you set the tone and be like, babes, we'll work on our schedules, make it fly. But at least we have to have a talk, whether it be pillow talk or whatever the case is. At least not pillow talk, but I'm saying marriage is.
All right, you said it.
No.
I'm checking.
Guys.
There's a Freudian slip.
Look, yeah, that was a slip. No pillow talk until you get married. You know what I'm saying? But like, when you have your either Bible study or whatever the case is, you do that at least once a week in your relationship, so it becomes a routine. So by the time you get to marriage now, it's just like, oh yeah,
of course, yeah.
But the man should be taking the lead, is my point.
I totally agree with you. I do not disagree with you.
There's too many women, in my opinion, that are doing it with the right heart, but they shouldn't be leading it, and the man them should be taking on the role. That's all I want to say about that. Everything you said was fine, apart from that one thing. I'm like,
I know.
And you know how I am.
I know how you are. Okay. All right. We'll leave that one there. We ain't even going to go there. So, Afaron, how do you identify and address red flags in a relationship?
Okay. How long have you got, Tish? How long have you got yet?
Please don't do a part 3. I don't... Just say it.
How long have you got?
Jesus.
I think it's more in the in simplest terms, it's in the words, the actions, and the consistencies, whether that be consistencies in the positive or consistencies in the inconsistencies.
But your red flags are not my red flags. So you could say that's a red flag for you.
Okay. So give me an
what
example.
I want you to do.
What would be a red flag for you then?
Me? Jeez. Okay, it's not about me today.
Yeah. I'm asking you. We're having a conversation. It's open space. Safe space.
You say no safe space. You're not watching this.
I'm leading the thing. Safe space, isn't it?
Lord Jesus. Okay, so a red flag for me, my immediate red flag is how he talks to me.
Okay, that's a red flag for most people.
No. Some people like a little baddie talk, you know.
Nah, I'm
But
not. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I personally, I listen to, what's that word? Sapiosexual.
Yeah, it's as a sapiosexual, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
sapiosexual.
So
Yeah.
it's about intelligence.
So basically, to either message me or greet me with "Hey, beautiful, you're right," and then there's nothing really following that,
Okay.
I'm already like, oh,
Right.
oh.
Right. Because
So for me,
you want
I know
substance.
I'm
You want
mentally,
substance.
I want substance. I
Yeah.
know how I'm mentally stimulated.
Okay.
Just what I'm saying, by conversation, by
Right.
what are your hobbies, what are your interests, what do
Mhm.
you like to do? You know, rather than just, oh, you
Same
know,
wake
you're
up
so,
text. Good
oh, you're
morning,
so
beautiful.
good
Every
morning,
morning,
beautiful.
and
It's
that's it.
like,
Yeah.
okay, good morning, handsome. Good morning,
Right.
king.
Yeah.
Let's move
Let's
past that.
talk. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, but I'm a David Attenborough girl. I
Okay.
like the world around me, and
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And psychology, and
Right.
I like
Right.
to go deep.
Yeah.
So if you're coming with the
Your
surface thing,
it's not gonna work.
that for me is already, for me, I'm just like, nah, I'm already gonna get
That makes
bored.
sense. That's valid. That's very valid.
Go on, what's yours?
I think that's a valid. I would agree with that.
Don't even jump on mine.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just agreeing with you. Like your thing is a valid thing. Yeah, I think for me it's more about oh I'm trying to pick one. I've got a few, but I'm trying to pick
Which
one.
one can you say?
We've talked about this, the increasing of capacity and the consistency,
Okay, yeah.
or the lack of it, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone, and I get this is, it sounds petty, but it's not. What I'm trying to say is that I want to be in a relationship where I'm constantly growing. I'm in a partnership with my partner.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're in an environment that is constantly growing and we're sharing things with each other, I'm learning from you, you're learning from me,
Mm-hmm.
then I know we're growing in a relationship. If I'm only giving to you and I'm just, adding value and you're not really giving anything back,
Mm-hmm.
for me, that tells me that there's inconsistencies. Maybe there's a lack of capacity on your end when it comes to growth, which is cool, but it's just not for me. So that would be one of my red flags.
Okay. All right. So what are some of the effective ways to rebuild trust after it's been broken? That's a difficult one for me.
Okay.
Because trust is a big thing.
Right.
Trust is a big thing. So I don't know. Rebuilding that will be very difficult. And it depends on what they do as well.
Mm-hmm. Are we talking about, right? First thing is forgiveness. Let's get that out of the way.
Of course. Yeah.
Say that, but people find it very difficult to forgive. So forgiveness is the first step. For you and not for them.
Mm-hmm.
Them taking the them part of that is accountability.
Mm-hmm.
So them taking accountability, acknowledging what they did was out of line or out of pocket, and I think there's different, as much as there's 5 love languages, there's 5 apology types as well. So there's different ways that you apologize to be like, I acknowledge, look, I am actually sorry. I will never do it again, and I'll work on to be better. I can't remember which stage it was, but that's like 3 or 4, something like that.
Okay.
But there's different ways to apologize as well. And then once they've taken accountability to build that trust, they're going to have to work on slowly building it. So it's going to take time. It's going to be consistent. But eventually, if your partners, or if you see that your partner's putting in the work, by all means, and you're like, okay, it takes time to build.
That.
But they're going to have to do it. So definitely I would say forgiveness for yourself. They need to have accountability. If they're not taking accountability for it at all, then don't waste your time. Especially if it's like with, things like narcissists and those types of individuals, they don't take accountability. They will never take accountability. So you don't even bother waste your time waiting for the sorry, because you'll probably never get it. And then on top of that, they'll turn around and blame you for it because that's how you made them feel. It's a whole list of schemas. We know they're already. We're not going there today. So accountability. And then the last part is you have to do the action points now and be or the implementation of making a difference and being consistent. And then time will tell. And then you use your discernment to be, okay, do I still want to be with this person, or is this person not for me, or this person still needs work to do? Probably I need to give space and set boundaries and stuff. So that's how I would deal with that situation. Yeah,
that's a really good answer, by the way. Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will now reconsider my trust. Okay. Let's go straight into the attachment theory. Yeah, okay, cool. Get the thing that I sent you.
Okay, cool. Yes.
So attachment theory. in developmental psychology the theory that humans are born with a need to form a close emotional bond with a caregiver, and that such bond will develop during the first 6 months of a child's life. So if the caregiver is appropriately responsive, okay, these are not my words, these are the psychology words.
Right.
So these attachment styles are typically considered on a spectrum rather than as a rigid categories. And individuals can display varying degrees of characteristics from more than one style depending on context and life experiences.
Yeah.
Therapy and self-awareness can help individuals understand and potentially modify their attachment style to form healthier relationships.
Okay.
I know you like that one. Right, so Afaron's going to read out 2 attachment styles.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll read out the other 2.
Cool. All right. So the first one is the secure attachment styles. Secure attachment style. Childhood characteristics are: you're comfortable exploring the environment when caregiver is present. Distressed when caregiver leaves, but easily soothed upon return. And then the last point is trust the caregiver will be responsive and available. The adult characteristics of a secure attachment are the following: comfortable with intimacy and autonomy in relationships, balances independence and interdependence, and able to communicate needs clearly and respond to partners' needs. The last one is generally have positive views of self and others. The second attachment style is anxious or ambivalent, I believe, attachment style. So there's the childhood characteristics are clings to caregiver. I'm laughing because I know people do this. Clings to caregiver and is anxious when the caregiver is near. Extremely distressed when caregiver leaves and ambivalent upon return. And then the last one is often feels insecure about caregivers' availability and responsiveness. The adult characteristics of an anxious attachment style are seeks high levels of intimacy, approval, and responsiveness from partners, which is very interesting. Often preoccupied with relationships and fears abandonment, and may become overly dependent on others and have difficulty trusting reciprocated feelings.
Love that, because obviously the whole purpose of us reading this out is simply that the effects of our childhood environment. Remember you spoke about love and survival last time, and how that affects our adult relationships styles, should I say? Yeah. So this is very, 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 very important for you to know what your attachment style is. So my one, avoidant attachment style. So childhood characteristics: shows little distress when caregiver leaves, avoids or ignores caregiver upon return, and may not seek comfort or contact from the caregiver. Now, with the adult, values independence and self-sufficiency, often uncomfortable with intimacy and emotional closeness, may have difficulties with emotional expression and vulnerability, tends to suppress or deny feelings of attachment needs. This is so heartbreaking, you know, because you know when you start to read these things and you're like, you have people in your mind, isn't it? We'll talk about that later. Then you got the other one, disorganized or fearful avoidant attachment. So as a child, characteristics shows contradictory behaviors such as approaching caregiver but with fear or apprehension, may freeze or seem disorientated during reunions with caregiver, often experiences disorganized emotions and responses in relationships. Last of all, adult characteristics can exhibit extreme fluctuations in behaviors and emotions within relationships, struggles with trust and emotional regulation, may have unresolved trauma or unresolved issues from childhood, difficulty maintaining stable, secure relationships.
Oh, yeah,
Jeez. Just let that sit in. That was a sailor moment.
Yeah,
man.
Sealer moment. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the thing is, right, let me just put this in. I think it's important when you're single to, we say it off camera, to do the work.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You need to do the work.
Yeah.
Like, don't get into a relationship if you still need to sort out this and this. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, get yourself aligned, because there's some people that put themselves in a relationship that's already aligned. So let's just say I'm aligned and someone wants to be in a relationship with me, and they can try and mess up your alignment.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Because they're dysfunctional.
Yeah.
So it's really important that you take time out for yourself and you study things like attachment theory, study your love language, just explore and just do things to better yourself.
Right.
And just take that time, because boy, it's deep.
Yeah. Do you know what attachment style you are?
We can talk about that later.
No. Let's talk about
We can talk about that later.
I know I am.
What's your attachment style?
I'm secure. I've done it
Okay.
several times.
Okay.
It's come out secure every single time.
Okay.
But you know
Is there a quiz? Is there a quiz
Yes,
that I
loads
can?
of free. You guys, you should go online. There's loads of free
I'll probably put a
attachment
link.
on Google's. Yeah, there's loads. There's loads. There's
Okay.
loads.
So, Afaron, how does attachment style influence relationship dynamic?
Oh, it's a big one for me. That's a huge one. Like there's Adams, I don't really do it as much anymore, but anyone I'm interested in, I would always make them do 2 tests. The first one would be the attachment one.
Okay.
And then the second one would be the personality test.
Okay, could you explore what is
16, the Myers-Briggs personality test.
Okay.
So apparently there's like 16 different personalities.
Mhm.
So people that know me know I'm always shouting about my INFJ/ENFJ
gang
kind of
INFJs.
personality type. Come on, gang.
Go on.
So that mix gives you an understanding of who you are and your personality and how you operate. It's not accurate in a sense. It is accurate to a certain degree, but there's just traits. It's based on similarities and traits. And then attachment styles is always like the other test or quiz I give to, people I'm dating or interested in. Just it's for fun, and it gives me an understanding of who they are, because I want to understand who my partner is.
Yeah.
And then I can kind of say, all right, cool, like how I navigate from there, basically. But there are certain couple non-negotiables when it comes to certain attachment styles that I would be like, yeah. But you can always cite it anyway. Because
I was going to say,
you can always see it. So I can tell, like, yeah, you're avoidant. From your behavior, I can tell you're avoidant, because there's certain characteristics, like you said, not good with physical touch, not good with, emotions and stuff, distant. I can tell, yeah, this is not going to work for me, because as a secure person, I'm not going to get in return what I want in a wholesome way, because it's just not going to work, and it's going to be an imbalance. So I know already when it comes to that personality type or that attachment type, it's not going to work.
Okay, I'll leave that there. So, can attachment styles change over time or through different relationships? Do you
Yes,
feel?
they can. That's the good thing, and people don't talk about. You can become, this is why you said that doing the work is very important, because you could be anxious or have grown up having anxious attachment, but if you've done the work, you can actually become secure. You don't have to stay like that forever. And that's one thing that they don't say enough. And I'm so glad that, we're having this conversation about it more, or we're hearing about it more on social media, because once some people think, oh, this is how I am, you're forever like that. No, it's not. You can actually develop and change. So the good thing about it is that you can move from being any of the others to becoming secure at some point, which is amazing. So
how do you feel someone with avoidant attachment learn to embrace intimacy?
I don't know about you, mate. That's above my pay grade, that one. I don't know about that one. Well, I don't know. That's a deep one. No.
What do you think?
Repeat the question again. Let me press it.
So how can someone with avoidant attachment learn to embrace intimacy?
Oh, that's so deep. That's
Isn't it?
so deep.
That's so deep.
The first thing they need to acknowledge is that they're worthy of themselves. That before we even do any other, you have to feel worthy within yourself, because if you don't, you can't be worthy of other people. So they need to get to a point. I'm not a psychologist, guys. I'm not a psychotherapist.
Neither of us are.
I have my.
We just have an interest.
I just have an interest in it. I'd love to be, but it's just too much work right now. I've got other callings, other purposes going on. Maybe in the near future, but I would say finding whatever tools you need to go and find with counseling, therapy. Find the wholeness within yourself first, and then you can start kind of mapping around, okay, what are the other areas that I need to work in on? How do I give to this person? Because now I know my value. Because I think a lot of those people have been abandoned and rejected, but they haven't been told you are actually worth something.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
100%.
So because that's never been said, it's never been portrayed, and it's never been communicated physically and, narrative, like through language, you don't know who you are. And you're growing up figuring out, who am I, what am I doing? You're trying to find your image in someone else, and it's like, that's fine as a starting point, but you need to find it within yourself. So yeah, that would be the first starting point before we even get to anywhere else. After that, everything else is just tools, details, all that other stuff.
So how do you think childhood and upbringing influence adult attachment styles? Because obviously you're like, I'm secure attachment. So like their voice, by the way.
Right.
The voice is great.
It was all right.
I'm secure attachment.
It's getting better.
There you go.
Yeah, go on.
So what I'm saying is that you're so sure of yourself that you are secure in your attachment style.
Right.
How do you even know that?
I grew up in a very weird household. I say weird, it probably wasn't, but I grew up in a 2-parent household. So my mum came from a very loving family, where my dad came from a very dysfunctional family. So growing up, because this is the 90s we're talking about, mum was a stay-at-home mum, so we got a lot of love growing up. Whereas we probably could have got a lot more from dad. I don't think he knew how to, or whatever the case was, but he was just doing his best. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So some of the, I would say, we got a lot of, it was a weird mix, because we got discipline and that side of things from my dad. We got a lot of love from my mum. So I remember I've said it on a podcast or probably my own or whatever before. At the age of 11, I got so much love. I remember coming to a school performance. I was playing drums. Same thing. It was basic stuff, Little Rock, Beatles or whatever, minor things, innit? But my mum came to watch me perform, and she's always been there from when I was young. Sports day, everything, she was always there. Yeah. Dad was always at work, because the times were different. It was just like, it wasn't like, both women and the man are working. It wasn't that type of environment all the time back then. So I got to a point where I was like, Mum, I told her, I was like, Mum, I'm in year 7 now, going into year 8. You don't need to come to my performances anymore. And she was like, okay. Because by that point, we both kind of knew. I didn't understand it then, but I knew. I was kind of like, from that point, you've given me so much love and so much motivation. I need to work on my own self-motivation now. I know how good I am on my instrument. No one needs to tell me. I've done the work. I've practiced. And so therefore, when I'm doing what I love, it's minor to me. Like, it's a gift from God, and I love it. So I didn't really need the accolades or the pat on the back from people saying, oh, you did a really good job on your instrument. I was like, I don't need it. I got so much love growing up. And so by the age of 11, up until now, I've just been self-motivated, working on the whole thing with Savage Mode, and just like, do you know what I mean? And just being my own motivator, but then using other people's influence and, motivational speakers and stuff to influence me in a way that is positive, that I can now use to help other people. Do you know what I mean? Not everybody else, a lot of people weren't blessed with that probably, but I know that I was given that as a gift. So I think that type of environment really did help me become the person I am today. So yeah.
Okay, nice.
Hopefully I answered the question.
Yes, it does. So just to finish on this attachment theory, how does attachment theory apply to non-romantic relationships like friendships or family?
That's
I think you're liking these questions today.
No, I am. I'm loving these questions. These are really good questions. You smashed it.
Cheers.
I would say it's a tough one. It's not a tough one. It's an interesting one. That's what I would say. Because, when you have your layers of circles, so you got family in a circle, friends, acquaintances, and then just mad strangers in the back.
Yeah.
It's like you have to figure out, okay, whoever's in each circle, then you got to think, what attachment theory are they? Yes. And then how do I set my boundaries so I'm not giving, especially for givers?
Yes.
How do I not give too much, but give the amount where I'm not either enabling them or I'm overdoing it or whatever the case is. Do you know what I mean? So it's a very techie question. It's a very interesting question. But I would just use my discernment, really come back to discernment and be like, all right, cool.
Yes.
With this person, I know I can only go this far.
Yes.
When it comes to me giving or adding value to this person's life. With someone else in the same circle, my inner circle, I could go 110% because I know, they're adding value back to me in the same way, not in a tit for tat way, but through friendships. Is having a friendship is about having a two-way street. So you would expect as a friend, do you know what I mean? We can work together and partner on these things.
You say a key word there. There's expect. Not everyone gets it though. Even though you expect it, you said expect. Sorry,
Yeah.
the Caribbean's coming
Yeah,
through.
no, that's fine.
Sorry, expect.
Yeah, yeah. Expect. Yeah. You have to say it like that.
Sorry, my inner
With the
nana.
expect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
expect. So you said
yeah. Come on. You know what it is.
So the fact that you said as friendships there is an almost an expectation that there's a giving and there's a receiving, but do you find that there could be people in your circle that you're just giving to and you're just not getting anything back?
It depends on the season you're in,
Mm.
and if we say in church all the time, some people are here for what's
A
it?
reason, season, or a
There we go.
lifetime.
You know what I'm
That is
saying?
my
I didn't
thing.
have to say it,
That is
but
my
right.
thing.
So it's like it depends on the season, you know, all those other things as well. And if the season is this person is because they might be going through a hard time, and you may need to give a little bit more.
Yeah.
But then when you're going through hard stuff, they might give you back the same without even asking.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those with expectations. I think, especially in friendship, if you have a really good friend or friend group or support group, it's an underlying expectation that you don't really talk about. It's just said, and you're like, I'm supporting you. Like David and Jonathan in the Bible, they were like, you're my bro. Like we're not blood related, but you're my bro. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's more along those lines. It's more just kind of unsaid, but it's expected at the same time.
Nice. Love that. Excellent. Thank you. So we're going to go on to Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Bro, I haven't touched this since A level business.
In it. So what I thought I'd sent you was this. So do you mind just reading that out? Yeah. Can you see from here?
From the bottom top, yeah?
Yeah. So let me read out this little bit. So according to Maslow, we have 5 categories of needs. You read out the needs.
Okay, so the first one is is it physiological needs?
I think so, yeah.
Yep.
Air, water.
I can't see that. What's that say?
Okay, so I'll read out the small print.
Okay, cool.
So that's air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, and reproduction.
Yeah. So it's the basic needs.
Yeah.
You've got safety needs, which is the second level.
That is personal security, employment, resources, health, property.
You've got love and belonging, which is the third.
Yeah, which is friendship, intimacy, family, sense of connection.
Self-esteem, which is the fourth.
Yep, respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, and freedom.
And the fifth is self-actualization, which we all hope to get to one day.
The desire to become the most that one can be. You sent me a brilliant video about a sense of purpose.
Okay.
Like it was fire. Oh my gosh, it's dope. Like, I need to put the link underneath the thing. So in this theory, higher needs in the hierarchy emerge when people feel they have sufficiently satisfied the previous needs. Okay. So how do you feel that Maslow's hierarchy of needs plays or applies to romantic relationships?
All right, this is an easy one. Most man them, if they ain't, all right, most guys, if they don't have the physiological needs, they will rarely be ready to, I would say it's all right, 2 things. Either settle down in marriage or be in a relationship. Because some men will choose to be in a relationship but not want to settle down because they're not financially or whatever stable. And there's some men that will be like, you know what, I'd rather be single until I get into a relationship. So I think that will be like in relationships for men, women might be different, but for men it's like, yeah, if those needs are not met, yeah, I can only go so far. I will put it that way.
Okay. Elaborate on that one?
No, that was it. I was going to go to the second one. I'll leave
Go to the second one.
Oh, safety needs. What's the bullet point in that one?
So safety needs is personal security, employment, resources.
Same for that as well. I think most men, if the first 2 layers are not secured to how they feel they're comfortable, then they can only go so far in a relationship.
And then that's again like love and belonging. That kind of covers that. And then self-esteem.
Because it knocks a man's ego.
Got you.
Right.
Yeah. That's why I love this theory, you know. It's a great theory because it kind of applies to a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it be business, personal, relationship. It really does expand a long way. So what happens when one partner's basic needs like safety or love are not met?
Are not met. The person can get abusive in a sense of
That's when narcissists.
Yeah, so you can get, that's an extreme version of it.
Okay, sorry.
Like you can, yeah, that's an extreme, like the other end. But it can become controlling, abusive, taking advantage. You know, you hear this thing about I forgot what they're called, but they're like hobo sapiens or whatever, where people, man, them are just using the girl them to sleep at a yard.
Is it?
All them thing, they're not
Is
paying
it
rent.
happened with the Love is Blind and the
Yeah,
man
so
said he's homeless?
I haven't watched that far yet, but
Oh, sorry, my bad.
probably I saw a clip about it, but yeah, I saw a clip about it. So things like that. So some people like to take advantage and like, oh yeah, let the woman, she can pay for it. Like she can pay for the meal because I'm not trying anything. I'll take advantage of the situation because she's got it. She's clearly rich and I'm not there yet. So let her take the. Some people are like that, and vice versa probably as well. But I'm just like, those type of things do happen.
Okay. So how do you feel couples support each other in achieving self-actualization?
I think coming back to the vision of what I said at the very beginning, understanding even before marriage, I think this conversation needs to be had a lot more in relationships. As a man, what's your vision and what's your purpose and what are you called to do? The same question goes for the woman. And then what is it that we would want to have as a unit that both of us kind of agree on?
Okay.
Once we're able to figure out what those three are and then we start walking in it, everything else becomes a little bit easier. Or it becomes a guideline to where we want to go and we're not getting lost. So to come back to your question, remind me the second part of that? Because there was something else I was going to say.
How can couples support each other in achieving?
The support. So now everyone knows where we're going. We can start supporting that situation.
Got you.
So if there's moments where he's like, babes, I'm a little bit down on this situation, she knows where he's going because he's told him, look, this is the plan. This is where I'm actually going in the long run, and I'm stuck here. Can you help me in this area? It doesn't have to just be finance. It could be whatever. But at least she knows where he's going and vice versa. It works. But and this is where everything that we said today when it comes to communication and understanding each other and perspectives, if the man is not setting the tone and understanding this is where I'm going, can you be my help me to come and help me with this and vice versa? Then the woman's going to be like, why am I going to invest in something or support you if I don't have a clue where you're going? I don't know step-by-step stage. I don't know what you're going to do in year 1, year 2, year 3. It may not have to be that detailed, but I'm like, if you're saying you're going to become, let's just random, I don't know, a electrician or something. There's stages to get to that. You need to have certain qualifications. You need to go to certain courses. There's different levels to get to that end point. And then once you get to that point, babes, what do we want to do? Do we want to take it up a level and create our own business from it? And do you know what I mean? There's different levels. And once a woman sees that there are checkpoints and he's going towards that checkpoints and coming back to the increasing capacity, all those other things, consistency, then it makes sense. She'll ride or die for him till the cows come home.
Okay. So this is something that you've mentioned quite a lot and I just want to home in on it. You keep saying that a man should lead. How does a man get to that point of leading? Because it's very difficult to find a man that's able to lead and not feel as though he's controlling you. So how does a man lead? Where does he learn leadership from? What does he do? What did you do? What work did you do?
Such a big question.
I know it is.
Big question.
Bruv, you know that's what we talk about off mic.
I had to cut it down into sizable chunks because we've only got a limited amount of time.
Just having a normal conversation.
Okay. So what I did from the age of probably 16 up until now, even I started at 16. I was studying, reading books. So I was reading. What's his name? Not Miles Monroe. He's one of them. There's another guy. Forgotten his name. I'd read a lot of motivational, successful like people books. And then YouTube starting to evolve, so I'll watch a lot of YouTube sermons or documentaries, or I'll be watching motivational speaking from people like Vusi or Gary V or RC Blake. So all these different people, they would kind of be like my spiritual uncles, brothers, fathers that I would learn from a business and a spiritual level to be like, all right, this is what I can use to help me become a better man. Because sometimes the physical person may not always be there. Let's just be real. So the man them need to do the work and don't, I'm going to say something, I'm preaching now. Don't think you are entitled or you're exempt because there is no excuse in 21st century. There is none. So you have to put in the work. And it takes time. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult for you because it may not be your strength. It might be your weakness, but you have to keep going. So that's the first part of it. when it comes to leadership, you need to then learn how to be the lion and the lamb and when to use the two. Because sometimes you might have to be in situations where you're going to have grace. Even though you might feel you want to be like, bro, fix up, look sharp. Sometimes people, not everyone's constitution is like
That's
that.
right, yes.
So you have to be careful and be like, all right, cool. Let me add grace to the situation and then choose when I can choose my battles to be lion and when I can be lamb. And that comes back to what I was saying about humility. It's not from a space of control. It's from a space of honoring and understanding excellence, integrity, all those other things. As a man, if you don't have those things, you can't necessarily be the leader that God's called you to be and be the leader that your helpmate needs you to be. Because once she sees that, women will just fall in line easy. Like, this is just part of nature. Do you know what I mean? So they will just easily fall in line and be like, you know what? He's a man of integrity. He says he's a man of excellence. He says what he's a man of his word. He says what he's going to do. And on top of that, he's bringing results that is actually like increasing every time I see him. Like, he's getting better. He's doing that. And I'm seeing it consistently over month 3 to month 6 to month 9 to a whole year. He's done so much, not just in career. I'm talking about as a person, both inside and out, because the man really has to do the work from the inside out. A lot of men today start doing things from the outside in. So if I get the car, the house, all that, but then when it comes to you getting a relationship, you're broken. You are basically half of those attachment styles apart from secure. You could be avoidant, you could be dismissive, or you could be anxious. You don't know how to lead because you've got all those things you haven't done the work on. So as men, especially our black men, we need to do the work from the inside out and not from necessarily from the outside in.
Yeah, the Bible says it. Study and show yourself approved.
100%.
Just what I'm saying. I think it's important that, you know, like I said before, it's important to get to know yourself. Do you know what I mean? I really wanted to tap into, not for too long though, because we're going to be wrapping up in a minute, in dating after a divorce. I think that's a massive one, especially if you've been in a long-term relationship, as I've been, and kind of going out there and seeing how things are very different.
Very different.
Very different. Somewhat uncomfortable. But, you know, even thinking about doing the work, it's like, can you be bothered to even go into another long-term relationship? It's like somebody said to me recently, this online dating, and I'm just not there. Like, no.
If it's not for you,
but that's what I'm saying. I think
it's not for me.
I'm very authentic. I would rather meet somebody in an environment that I'm into. Does that make sense?
That's fine.
So I said this to someone because they're like, oh, how would you, if, you know, I was out there, what would I do? And I said, well, I'm really into certain things. So either like live music or, you know, I love my jazz and whatever.
Yeah.
Or like whatever. So I would do that. What would you do if you was looking? Like, how would you create that space or environment to meet people?
I'm quite old school, so I'd go out and meet people face to face. I'm not really on. You will not catch my face. I said it before. You will not.
Oh
catch
yes,
this face
we mentioned that before,
on
didn't
any
we?
apps whatsoever. I think to meet the right person as well, I think I missed out something that goes part of it is the self-awareness.
Yeah.
So if you're with someone who is quite self-aware, especially you being a self-aware person that's come out of divorce and that type of stuff as well, then it's easier to deal with because ignorance is not bliss at all. Let's make that very clear. Ignorance can stop you and limit you because you're just thinking in this perspective and this, you know, this is how it's always been and this is how it's always going to be. The world doesn't work like that. There's many shades of grey, as well as the black and white. So I think as individuals, we need to be very self-aware, and the person we're speaking to, check them and be like, are they self-aware of who they are?
Yeah, definitely.
Once that is kind of like ticked off, you can kind of start the journey from there. If a person is ignorant and they're like, well, this is how it's going to be because this is how I see it and my life was brought this way, so that's how I see the world, and that's fine, have your opinion, cool. But just know that conversation is going to start there and it will probably end there, and that will be the last time I see you because...
Yeah, it's true. I hear that.
I cannot deal with the lack of ignorance and being open-minded, because us even having this conversation, it's a self-aware conversation.
It's a very self-aware
conversation. A lot of people would not be, they'll be willing to have the conversation to a certain degree, but will you be able to accept that your faults or your personality within the conversation to be like, you know what, I don't have that, I need to work on that, and I need to, I didn't know that, I want to learn more. Yeah,
definitely always know what you need to work on as an individual. I think that's really important, especially when you're speaking to someone, because if they act like everything is like rosy, then that's already got my guard up a little bit, because I'm thinking what you're hiding kind of thing.
Yeah,
You get
I
me?
don't think it's. Well, it could be that.
Because they could do all
Could be that.
the bells and the whistles and be all of these things. So I'm not saying that they're not, but I just think sometimes it's nice to find out what, when we spoke about earlier about being vulnerable,
Uh-huh.
what are your vulnerable moments, you know?
But especially with men though, a lot of men today deal because it's not the vulnerability is part of it, but it's image and ego is such a big deal
Yeah, it's true.
because we know that because of their past traumas, they haven't been able or in a space to deal with the unresolved traumas, which then puts up an image of this is how I want to be seen
Yeah,
versus who I actually am,
yeah.
which is a whole different.
That's a whole different
conversation.
man, because yeah.
So now they're living in that ignorance of I've created this image and this is how people want to see me. So if anyone wants to see me behind this image, I will have to trust them. You could be there till you're 250 years old before you're trying to win over someone's trust like that. It's long.
Yeah,
Find
true.
someone that you can be equally yoked with and you're good.
Yeah.
I ain't got, you know me, I ain't got time. I don't have
I know
time.
you ain't got time.
I
I
ain't
know
got
you ain't got time. I know you get time. I just think that people are quite deceptive
True.
nowadays, and I think the spirit of discernment is key.
It's so key.
It's so key.
It's so needed.
Do you know what I mean? Because externally, you know, beauty is fleeting, but the woman or the person that fears the Lord is worthy to be praised. Like, I think it's so important that you discern, man, because people are dabbling and doing things that, you know what I mean? We'll talk about that later anyway. But it's real. It's real. But I do want to talk to some people that are in a position similar to mine, where it's like dating after a divorce, or just, you know, even if they're in a long-term relationship, what is it like for them now? Being that you've been single for a while, you know, why have you been single for so long? Is that because of choice? Is that because of...
Yeah, I'm ready for me. Understand? No, joking.
Yes,
no, but on the real though, there is truth to that though, because I feel like I've trained, well, I say I've trained, but I have positioned myself to be like, when I'm ready to be a husband, I can be a husband tomorrow. When it comes from my insides, like who I am as a person, forget money, forget all of that. That's coming. That is on its way. There's a lot more to be achieved. But me as a person, I know that if I was to be in a relationship and be husband and father and that, I could do it. I need someone who's, like it says, he that finds a wife. I need someone who's going to be ready to be a wife.
Yeah.
If not, then
it's a waste of time.
It's a waste of time. And that's what I'm saying. A lot, modern women today need to go and sit under the feet of married women or divorced women and tell them, look, this is how you get a man, this is how you keep a man, and then also this is how you behave as the queen, Proverbs 31 woman wife, to make sure that you can get this person and do this for the rest of your life if you're thinking about marriage.
But some married women I wouldn't even go to for advice.
That's true.
So yeah, because some of the advice is wrong.
That's fine. Sometimes it's kind of like, I wouldn't say it's needed, but you need to hear those wrong things so you know, that's not, that don't sweet my spirit. Let me just, so not to more of as an avoidance to be like, okay, I know you're chatting, but you're not really, something's off with you.
Yeah.
Cool, let me go find someone who is actually going to feed my spirit properly.
Because I think for me, I think definitely if I had some kind of mentor when it came to marriage, you know, I don't think I would.
As for men as well, I'm not just women. I'm saying men need to go sit under the feet of other married men. That we don't have that conversation either, and that's a whole different conversation. So I think both sides need to do the work. I'm not just putting it out there for women. I'm just saying it because obviously I'm a man, but men needs to do the work as well, 100%. And they need to sit under. But the thing is, again, how many married men do we know that are doing things right, that are not on their third, second marriage? And do you know what I mean? It's in our community, it's a lot. And I'm talking about men and women of integrity. You may have learned some stuff and your past is your past, cool. But you should still be at a space where it's like, you know what, regardless of all of that, let me sit under the feet of these people and let me learn something that is going to be, you know, beneficial, because they've been through some stuff and they could probably teach me some things. That can save me.
So I can teach a whole sermon about what
not to do and what to do as well.
The importance of certain things, then, you know, make sure that before you say I do, I think I need to do an episode of before I say I do, you know.
Do it.
Because there are some things I wish I was told before. Anyway, This camera's rolling, Tish. Tish's camera's rolling. All right. We're gonna wrap it up. Anything else you want to add there? Anything
that
about
was amazing.
self-actualization or Maslow's theory, attachment theory?
Yeah.
Okay, you did good, you know.
So did you.
I appreciate you. Appreciate you, man. Hopefully that'll be a bit of part 3. But
I'm down. I'm here.
Oh my God.
I'm here. I am here.
I know. I tell you what, you're so consistent and you're so on point, and I appreciate you, man.
I've made it
really do.
a normal thing now. So
you have. I appreciate you. Right, so everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today's episode. Please like, share, and subscribe, and bless somebody with this episode as well. Probably learn something from it. Comment below. I love reading everyone's comments, positive and not so positive. You know what? I got a negative comment, and I loved it.
You like it anyway?
I thrived it. Yes,
Yeah.
Say something, yes, because I've got your attention.
Right.
And then people say stupid stuff. I'm just like, oh. Anyway.
Let them roll in.
Just bring the comments. Yeah. I don't mind. Them things don't bother me. So anybody that wants to share, like, and subscribe, please feel free to. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. I'm Coaching with Leticia, and this is Afaron, and we will see you again soon. Take care. Bye.